Hello, everybody. This is Peter Vexelman. One of the things that is critically important to your success in the real estate industry is to be able to capitalize on what is currently taking place and what are the hot trends in the industry. Well, it is absolutely my pleasure to introduce Ryan Burk to you all today. Ryan is an absolute subject expert in green real estate investing. Ryan, do me a favor, start out by simply introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what this whole green real estate investing is all about.
Hey, thanks for that introduction, Peter. So as Peter said before, my name is Ryan Burk. I'm the owner and CEO of a company called In the Now Investments, and I've been wholesaling and rehabbing properties for the last 5 years, but recently in the last couple years we got into a strategy called green habbing. So to answer your question, Peter, what's green habbing all about? Green habbing is really it's the newest trend. It's a very hot strategy, and it's really all about creating energy efficient homes that also have a healthier breathing and living space involved. So, they operate on a more efficient level. They cost a lot less to operate. And then, of course, like I said, we're getting the chemicals out of the homes that are so harmful to people living in the homes that they don't even realize, from things like, paints, stains, adhesives, caulkings, stuff like that.
What exactly is green habbing, aka green real estate investing?
Hey, that's a good question, Peter. Green habbing is a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And before I get into a little bit more depth of what green habbing is to us, I just want to state that, before you get into green investing or green habbing, I think it's really important to establish what your specific green values are. And, there's no right or wrong answer here, but what I mean by that is, there's a lot of people that would tell you that, they like using bamboo flooring because it's a rapidly renewable product. It grows 2 feet a day, so you cut it down, it grows back really quick. And they say, hey, that's a great product to use as part of a green hab. And then there's other people out there that would tell you that, even though it's a rapidly renewable product, they generally wouldn't use it for the simple fact that it wastes so much energy and gas to ship it over here from all of those tropical spots. So again, there's no right or wrong answer here. The key is to figure out where your specific green values are. But to us, here at In the Now Investments, green habbing to us is the process of remodeling an existing structure to create a high performance detoxified environment. So again, going back to high performance, like a sports car, it's going to operate at a lot higher efficiency level. It's going to cost a lot less to operate. And then again, going back to detoxified environment, getting all those harmful chemicals out of the house to create a healthier living and breathing space.
So why green and why now?
Hey, that's another great question, Peter. There's a lot of reasons of why green, why now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of cover our top reasons that we green have properties. The first reason that we green have properties is increased profits. In today's market, especially for someone who's in the rehabbing game, a lot of times, everything's perfect. We find that perfect property as an REO. We get that perfect price. We rehab it. Rehab's on schedule. Everything's perfect. We find a buyer. And then a lot of times the bank comes out to appraise it and our properties aren't appraising. So, right off the bat, one thing that green habbing's really helped us with is the fact that our appraisals are coming in at a minimum of 10% more than any other comparable on the block because of the specific green retrofits that we're using. So, that's the number one reason, is increased profits by minimum of 10%. Second reason is that, as real estate investors, one thing we like to utilize is leverage, right? And so one of the biggest reasons to green hab is the fact that it allows us to leverage other people's money, really Uncle Sam's money. What I mean by that is there's literally millions of dollars that are out there available to us as investors as long as we follow the rules through cash rebates, tax credits, grants, etc. In fact, we just finished a rehab about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It was a $12,000 rehab, and we ended up getting $3,600 of that rehab back from the government in form of cash rebates. Keep in mind, most of these things that we did to the house are things that we would have had to do anyways. It's money we would have had to spend anyway. So, right off the bat, it's always nice when you can get up to 35% of your rehab costs back. Another big reason to greenhab is you're going to find out that it literally reduces your competition instantly down to 1%. Reason I say that is because less than 1% of our country's homes are green. So it allows you to stand apart from all of these other homes that are for sale, etc., which again leads to less time on the market, leads to quicker sales. One thing it's done for us as well is it's really improved our brand as a company and improved our marketing. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have noticed out there that, green is kind of a trendy thing. It's kind of where everyone's going, and all the major companies are trying to leverage some form of green in their marketing. Now, that being said, you want to be careful. You don't want to be someone who's considered a greenwasher, which is someone who markets green just to be part of the trend, but isn't really technically green. But if you are truly green and you have a green product that you're offering, it's a very, very easy product to market. People are hopping on board. It's really trendy. It allows you to get noticed a lot quicker. Again, going back to another one of the reasons we talked about earlier is, getting these chemicals out of our households. A lot of people, they have allergies and they just deal with them. They live with them. They think that this is something that's normal, but they don't realize that their breathing troubles are coming from their home. For a lot of us, our home air quality is 50 times worse than the air quality outside of our home. And these are from something called VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, again, which are chemicals inside of our home from paints, stains, adhesives, caulkings, stuff like that. Last but not least, obviously, why greenhouse? Why now? Global warming. I'm not here to give you my opinion on global warming. We all have our different opinions. But I can tell you that, I think it's definitely our duty, whether we believe in global warming or not, to make sure that we create a better earth for our kids, our grandkids, our great-grandkids, leave a form of legacy. And, I don't use that reason as the last reason because I'm insensitive to it, but I do believe that in your personal life, you can be as green as you want. But in business, we call ourselves tree-hugging capitalists. So we feel it's important to lead with profit first, do good second. Again, just in business, therefore, you don't put yourself out of business.
So what are the 3 conditions that must be met during your green rehabs to meet your goals?
Well, the first condition that we're looking for as far as on a greenhab property is the materials that are used to greenhab the structure. They must be high quality, sustainable materials, and they must create, obviously, a healthier living, working environment. We always try to recycle when possible. Second condition would be is that when this actual property is complete, when our greenhab is done, the greenhab must cost a minimum of 20 to 30% less to operate than any other comparable property on the block on a yearly basis. And then, of course, third condition is the fact that it must create less of an environmental impact than any of the other comparable properties on the block as well.
What's the biggest benefit for an investor to implement your greenhabbing strategy right now?
And I'm glad you asked that question, Peter, because that's going to allow me to actually first, before getting to the direct answer, go over one of the biggest misconceptions towards, moving green, which is actually leads into one of the biggest benefits. And one of the biggest misconceptions towards green having or going green is that it's going to actually cost you more if you were to do it. And I'm here to tell you that's absolutely not true, especially if you have a blueprint to follow and you operate as a tree-hugging capitalist. So, again, one of the biggest benefits is the fact that we're increasing our profits on every single deal that we're doing. Our appraisals on our flip projects are coming in at a minimum of 10% more than any other comparable on the block because of our blueprint we've created and our retrofits that we're doing. We're also charging 10% higher rents on our buy and holds because we're saving our tenants so much in utility costs every single month that even though they're paying 10% more in rents, they're actually still coming out of pocket less every month because of the utility cost saving. And even as a wholesaler, I wholesale a lot of deals as well, which is really just where you're inserting yourself in between a buyer and a seller and making the profit. And if you have a green having solution on the back end for the rehabber that you're wholesaling a property to, and your solution on the back end is going to make them a minimum of 10% more profit, that's going to allow you to charge a little bit more on the front end when you're wholesaling a deal. So, that's one of the biggest benefits. And then, of course, leading into reduced competition. Less than 1% of our homes countries are green, as I said earlier, and studies are showing that green properties are selling for more money. They're staying on the market for a lot less time, which again is leading to the number one benefit, increased profits, because it's less holding costs out of your pocket.
How did you decide that the green real estate investing was going to be your strategy that you're going to implement in this current real estate market?
Well, actually, green is something that my wife and I have been passionate about in our personal lives for a long time now. We're all about health, creating a better place and legacy for our kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, etc. But, from a business standpoint, I always thought it was going to be too expensive to go green. But it was kind of one of those situations where I listened to my wife, and once again, she was right, as usual. So we seeked out the education and found a mentor that was able to teach us, all about tree-hugging capitalism. But really, the main reason we did it is because, there was no one else out there doing it. And, we wanted to be at the forefront of this new amazing strategy. And we wanted to be able to set ourselves apart from the thousands of wholesalers and rehabbers out there all over the country that claim to do the same thing.
How do you actually force appreciation on your green rehab projects?
Well, the easiest and main answer to that would be, saving energy costs. That's how we're forcing appreciation. We're saving energy costs by using these specific green retrofits and doing something that we like to call envelope infiltration, which is where we really tighten the envelope of the structure that we're working on. But, for example, from a commercial standpoint, there's an Energy Star formula, and that formula is you take the net energy savings per year, you divide it by the cap rate of that property, and that new value that you've just come up with is the amount that you've just forced of appreciation on that specific commercial building. Residential is a little bit different. However, the rule of thumb is for every dollar you save in energy cost, the appraiser must sign anywhere from $7 to $25 in additional asset value, depending on the specific market that you're working in. Sometimes you do have to educate your appraisers on these formulas, and they have to go study them over the next couple of days and get back to you, but they always come back completely surprised and can't believe that you actually can force appreciation and that they do have to appraise this way.
Are appraisers better trained these days to identify certain green retrofits in your green having projects and understand how to assign a higher value?
Well, as I said before, Peter, there are times where you do have to educate your appraiser on what you've done and why they're supposed to assign additional value. And usually, it takes them a couple days to check with their boss, check with the state, etc., come back before they realize that you're right. However, there have been several wins for us in the green Habbing industry. There is more and more education out there for appraisers. Stuff like that. In fact, recently we just got recognized by the National Association of Realtors. They have something called a Green MLS now. It's the greenmls.org, since there's not very many comps out there for us. And recently, a really big win for us was something that the Appraisal Institute put out, which is called the Green Energy Efficient Appraisal Addendum, which is basically an appraisal addendum that the appraiser can print out and bring with them on the specific appraisal that they're doing, which basically covers all the specific, green things that they would be looking for on the specific addendum and the additional value that they would be assigning if these are things that you did to the property.
Is this strategy for new investors, experienced investors, just rehabbers?
I mean, really, all of the above, Peter. This is a strategy for everyone that you just mentioned. I mean, generally, like I've been saying earlier, this strategy is meant for anyone that's really looking to set themselves apart from, the other people in their specific local market, become the local real estate rock star, go-to investor, and more importantly, anyone who's looking to increase their profits on every single deal that they do.
What's the number one piece of advice you would give any investor that is considering implementing green Habbing in their real estate investing business immediately?
Hey, I'm glad you asked that, Peter. The biggest piece of advice I could give people is that, this isn't a theory. This is an actual real estate strategy, just like the other real estate strategies out there. So this isn't just something that you just want to dive into and not really know what you're doing. I mean, you could do it that way, and of course you could do it long enough, and figure it out, but you end up spending a lot of money along the way and mistakes to figure it out. So, my biggest piece of advice would be, get educated, find someone out there that could potentially mentor you, that has a blueprint that's utilized these type of strategies, stuff like that. In fact, my hat's off to you, Peter, because, you wanted to learn more about green Habbing. You were the one that, you got out there, you found myself, you started talking to me, you said you wanted to learn about it so that you could provide more value to your students and show them how to add more profits to their deals, etc. So, that would be my biggest piece of advice is just, don't just dive into it. You want to learn a blueprint. You want to learn how to become a tree-hugging capitalist so that you can actually make money, do it right the first time.
That's all, folks.